All right, so here we are in the woods.
Here we are.
We're back.
Catch me outside.
Catch me outside.
How
We're
about it?
back. It's the Most High Show podcast, video cast. My name is Christian, and my boy Mitchell's here.
I'm here. What season is this?
3?
Is this season 3?
Yeah.
We were in the woods.
We were in the woods,
We're still
metaphorically,
in the woods.
and now literally we're in the woods.
We're working our way out of the woods.
Yeah.
I'm embracing the woods.
Yeah.
You still sober?
I'm still sober.
I'm
Are-
still sober too.
You're still sober?
I'm still sober.
All right. That's good.
How long you been sober?
Almost 7 years.
I've almost been sober 7 years too.
That's awesome.
It's a long time to be sober.
Yeah, and I think that kind of leads right into, it's been interesting the last year of sobriety, because I think that coming up on this 7-year anniversary is, I think you start normalizing a little bit.
I'm waiting for that.
Well, I mean, like, your life becomes a new normal without drugs and alcohol as a direct influence, right? Your life starts growing beyond, for me personally, like my kids, my relationship with my wife, my business, those things start to become, I'm able to, become, I don't know what the word, I want to say, like, I'm managing those things. But it's like a point when it's like, okay, recovery is important, sobriety is important. I need to focus on that. That is on the forefront. I have systems and people in place to hold me accountable. But at some point, your life can grow beyond just, I am a drug addict. And now I start defining myself as, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a spiritual human. So my definition of who I am begins to change, because the longer I think I maintain this pursuit of wholeness, the less it becomes about don't use, and the more it becomes like, live a life that you don't want to get high, because your life is actually pretty freaking good. Does that make sense?
You're a drug addict? Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. So, I can relate. Recently, I found myself in this position in life where I feel like I'm getting a lot of feedback from my environment about do this or do that. This is what's normal. This is what you're supposed to do.
Right.
And I got to a point recently where I had to really reevaluate, is what's normal for other people going to work for me?
Right.
And I came to the conclusion it is not.
Yeah.
So certainly there are some normal things that I'm embracing, trying to plan for a scholastic future for my daughter,
Right.
being responsible financially. Those are things that are very important to me, and I want to embrace in a normal, or even become an overachiever in that way. But that's new to me.
Yeah.
As far as my career goes, I have had to come to a place where I'm okay with not having a similar career path with other people, because similar normal career paths have not necessarily worked out with my particular approach to recovery. So
Right.
I've come to the conclusion in the past 6 years that I need to spend time every day focused on growing in a way that doesn't really work with a 9 to 5.
Right.
So
in that way, your life still is defined by it. I guess I'm probably sure I could probably find examples of my life where it still is, but it's more of a natural holistic approach to life now. You know that there's certain things you need in your life.
Right. So one of the things that was painful to embrace, because I like the regular paycheck,
Right.
I like knowing there's going to be a direct deposit on the 1st and 15th of a certain amount, and I can build my life on that. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I did that for many years. There's something very uncomfortable about having paychecks coming from different projects. But for me, it's been very fulfilling to do something different every day.
Yeah, and I think for me personally, that I credit that to your entrepreneurial spirit, right? Less to your addictive tendencies and more to you're the kind of person that you thrive on making things happen. You were talking about how you helped somebody get into a position and how that really gave you a sense of pride in a good way, because you know I feel like that's an entrepreneurial part of you that's continually pushing you. So yeah, I'm the same way. I love that check on the 1st to the 15th, but what I can't do is that that regular check comes with so many caveats. I got to ask somebody if I can leave early. I got to ask somebody if I can, do this or do that. And what I like about being entrepreneurial is that I don't have to ask anybody. But it also makes things difficult because you're right. You have to okay, is the client going to pay? Are they going to pay on time? I can't pay my bills until this client pays me. And so that can be a challenge.
Absolutely. The other thing that I'm reminded of is that I'm becoming more and more uncomfortable focusing on myself.
Right.
Meaning, I want to know how you're doing.
Right.
I want to help you. I don't really want to talk about me so much because I've spent my whole life talking about me.
Right.
I have a therapist for that. I'd like to really focus on helping other people. I've been really focused on helping other people's businesses grow, on helping other people's careers grow. I'm finding a lot of value in connecting with other people in a meaningful way to help enrich their lives.
Watch your mic.
So, however I need to do that, that's what I do every day. And
All right, go ahead and clip it before you continue talking, because otherwise it'll...
I'm feeling some freedom focusing on other people. I've gotten to the point where I'm not really worried about my path. I feel like I'm on a set path that's working for me. So along the way, I want to help other people, and that's one of the ways that I think I've been able to stay sober and not use drugs and alcohol for so many years. Giving back to other people and helping other people. Really, there's no room for self-destructive behavior when I'm doing that. I find that self-destructive thoughts and, ideas of being selfish and getting loaded come more when I'm just focused on myself.
Yeah.
So building a life where I'm focused on helping other people, I don't tend to find myself enticed by self-destructive ideas. I want to be a good son, a good father, a good life partner.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a bad influence on people. And so for me, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Do what helps others, and in turn, I'm helped.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I have a tattoo on my arm.
You have tattoos?
I have tattoos. And this tattoo says, trust God, clean house, help others. And it's in that specific order. And I think in my first couple years, really in my second or third year of pursuing sobriety and recovery, I think I kind of jumped from trust God to help others. And so for me, I kind of neglected this clean house. And I take it as a literal and also in a metaphorical way, right? And so what me and my wife have been talking a lot more about is this clean house section. It's like, why aren't things working the way we want them to work? Why aren't we being as effective in helping others as we want to be? And I think for us personally, it's where we're coming down to this. All right, this clean house section, we've kind of skirped that that step, and so it's about, all right, it's not so much focusing on ourselves, but it's like with the end result being to help somebody. I've found that now I'm motivated to clean house. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I'm like, all right, I need to have my own stuff together so that I can be helpful to somebody who is maybe one step behind in their process of growth, you know?
Right.
And so that's been really um, helpful. I'll also say in the last, I don't know if I talked about this at all on any of the podcasts, but I want to model transparency. So there's been I went through to an addictionologist, and she did some blood work, looked at my hormones, looked at a lot of different things, and began to treat me holistically. And that was the first time I'd done that in any of my recovery. Anything up until that point, I kind of looked at it as like willpower. But understanding like that prolonged drug use, right? So 10 years of doing dope every day, it's going to change you physiologically, right? And so my hormones production was out of whack. So getting that treated and also acknowledging that that's a part of me, right? And that it was affected by the drug use was really huge for my own recovery. I wish I would have done that coming right out of rehab. I would have went and got all that checked, you know? So that's something that I feel like, as I've been transparent with other people in one-on-one situations to talking about that I find other people go, yeah, man, me too. Like I'm starting to get treated for that. Oh, like one of the things the doctor said was like, you know, if we put you on an antidepressant, and then later we find out, well, it's not a brain chemical thing, it's a hormonal issue. It's what's causing you to maybe have depression or have anxiety, or you know, that's embarrassing as for her as an addictionologist to go, okay, well, we had you on this, you know, whatever antidepressant, but the real issue was hormonal, you know?
Yeah, it's borderline malpractice.
Right.
So sometimes I think about when you're in an airplane and they say put the mask on yourself before you help someone else.
Oh, right.
Right? So we have to take care of ourselves before we help others. And I read somewhere that it's difficult to be effective in helping other people when your own house isn't in order.
Right.
So sometimes I just need to sit down and clean my office.
Right.
So that I can organize and be more effective when I'm in the field. And in that way, I have found that helping others is based on attraction rather than promotion oftentimes. And when I'm having a difficult time, when I'm not doing all the things I need to do to stay well spiritually,
Yeah.
other people don't seem to be as attracted to me as an individual because maybe I'm grumpy.
Right.
Why would you want to get help from a grumpy person, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
focusing on my own well-being is very important to make sure that I'm able to help others effectively. And that's something that is very important to me, and this is part of that.
Right.
You know, being available to help spread the word that if you're a drug addict or an alcoholic or you're suffering from some malady, there are people out there that you could connect with that are part of some collective solution. And I didn't know that 7 years ago, that there was this community of people who were focused on
Right.
being well.
Right.
And they had been to prison or been to rehab for substance abuse, and now they were living fulfilled, healthy lives.
Right.
And so one of the pieces to the puzzle that makes sense for me in my life is to be transparent and make sure that the people I'm connected to on social media, for example, know I went through this time and I spent 13 years intoxicated,
Right.
and now I don't have to live like that anymore. So if you're struggling with that, or you know someone who's struggling with that, I'm available to talk about it, and maybe I can be helpful.
Yeah. And there's a whole community of people who are on the other side of that. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I'm what I'm thinking of. I might have shared it before, so I was like hesitant to share it. But it's like I remember in active addiction, you know, getting high with people, and as we're getting high, saying, "Man, I really need to quit this." And that statement was true, but I'm confessing it with other people who are just as trapped as I was, so there was no power in that confession. The confession became powerful when I let it out outside of my circle of people who were trapped just like me, you know? And so I think like that's one thing. It's one thing to go, okay, hey, I have this issue, but if you're sick and you keep telling other sick people that you're sick, like they're not in the position to help you at all. They might say, "Yeah, me too," but you know, meeting somebody, you know, one step ahead of you, right? Or half a step ahead of you even, you know? I mean, I think that's all anybody really needs to be helpful to the next person. Is to say, I'm just a little bit ahead of you on this journey. Because too far ahead and I'm like, what are you talking about? You know? And so we need those people like I have people who are right in step with me. And really enjoy that kind of relationship. Some people call that like an accountability partner, right? But then there's other people who are a step ahead of me who I call when I'm having doubts, when I'm having struggles. And those people being a couple steps ahead are able to go, hey, have you considered this? Right?
Absolutely. So kind of visualize it as this chain of people holding each other's hands, pulling people out of a pit, right?
Yeah.
So I need the guy who's way ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And he's helping pull people in between me and him, and hopefully I'm helping pull people who are pulling people out of the pit. And that's a bit simplistic and it's more dynamic than that, but
Yeah.
for me, I need the guy who's got 30 years. That's my sponsor. I need the guy who's got 10 years because the guy who's got 30 years, he's so happy and fulfilled that I need to hear someone else struggling a little bit.
Right.
Or maybe I need the guy that's around my 7-year mark who struggles a bit more than the guy who's got 10 or 15 years. And I definitely need the guys who are struggling more than me because that's a reminder of how far I've come. And I was convinced pretty early on that I can't keep the sobriety if I don't help give it away to other people. And so I need the guy who's not sober yet. And I need the guy who's struggling staying sober for 48 hours. I need them all.
Yeah.
And this community of people who were or are as afflicted as I was are essential in helping us all move forward. You're going to have a hard time having sick people help other sick people, but if you've got people who are getting well, they can tend to help each other out.
Yeah.
And so it was that transition from a community of completely sick and addicted people to a community of people who were working collectively to get better that changed my life. And I don't forget that.
Yeah. You can't do it alone.
I couldn't do it alone.
I mean, I guess you can't. Can't say you can't, right? I mean, some people do.
Some people probably can.
Right.
But if you're as afflicted as me, you're probably going to need a community.
Yeah. What's up, Leslie, over there looking at us? How's it sounding? Yeah? Good.
I feel good about this content.
Yeah, it feels very it feels like maybe we went through some shit and now we kind of settled it a little bit.
Yeah, the dust has settled.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, dude, that's the thing. Like, when I when I started to go see the addictionologist, I'm like, all right, I'm doing the things that is necessary, right? I was doing all I was looking after my physical health, my spiritual health, my sobriety, like all these pieces were in place, and was like, man, something's still not working. I wasn't finding peace or joy or contentment or any of the things that I'm promised. And it was like, okay, what's wrong? Because these are the promises that if I live in this way, this is going to be the result. And so, number one, it was admitting that something wasn't working. Because I think I held on. There was this portion of time where I was like, oh no, I'm fine. I'm tripping. I'm fine. And then moving to the step of go, okay, you know what? Something ain't right. And then to go, okay, I need some help. Like, well, for me personally, it was like a lot of depressive thoughts, a lot of anxiety, like, and the way I was kind of seeing it was to say, all right, I'm in the gym, I'm eating properly, I'm in fellowship spiritually and in the recovery community, I'm doing the things that I need to do. So why am I having this depressed thought? Why do I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I don't want to do anything, like unmotivated, the anxiety, the anger, right? Like those things are not, they're not the result of sober living or a life of recovery. And so acknowledging that that was happening and then seeking to get some help. Because I think often, at least for me, it was like, well, just try harder. Just try harder. Just share more. Just get in more, help more people. Just do more. And that wasn't the answer. The answer was humble yourself, surrender to somebody else's expert opinion, and let them help you. You know what I mean? Right, but that's what I was talking about with the hormonal imbalance, is seeing that, okay, here's the physical effect of, the years and years and years of addiction and drug use. There's a physical consequence to that, It made me wonder, like, how many people are in a 12-step community or in some sort of recovery community, whether it's mindfulness, whether it's just spiritual discipline, whatever modality they're using. How many people are like, it's not working for them, and it's because they have a hormonal imbalance? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so what is great about humans is we don't give up. And so there's so much more studies being done. We have so much more information about our brain and neurological scans. We know how our brains function now. So there's more information that we're getting, and we're going, all right, this approach is good. This approach is good. Okay, so maybe there's some physical things here. Let's address that. And I think it's a holistic approach. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not just to say, well, just don't. There's a period of time when it is, just don't use. Just today, just don't drink. There's a period of time in your life, in your recovery journey, where that is the focus. And then it moves forward. All right? And now your focus becomes, am I happy? Am I serving other people? Do I have joy? Do I have contentment? Do I enjoy my life? You know what I mean? Like, to me, that's the progression. So if you're in a stage of your recovery where it is just don't use, just get somewhere where you can't use, that makes sense for you right now. But know that if you stick to it and you stick with it and you listen to the suggestions, that there's a time when you're going to be focused on, how can I start cooking better? Maybe you learn to cook all of a sudden. You're like, yeah, I want to learn how to cook something. And for somebody who hasn't struggled, that may just be normal. But for someone who their whole life has struggled to just get through the day, when the biggest challenge is like, how do I grill this chicken right? And how do I cook veggies properly? You know what I mean? Like, how do you cook spinach? That's huge, man. It's like, man, we've graduated, you know? Yeah.
So you're feeling better.
Me, personally, yes. Oh, yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first year was about not getting high or drunk by any means necessary.
Yeah.
And it's not about that anymore. It's about what's my true purpose? How do I follow that path?
Yeah.
What are the signs when I'm getting off that path? And how do I build a wonderful life that doesn't increase anxiety or stress
Mm-hmm.
or depression to the point where getting intoxicated seems like a valid solution, or
Right.
cheating on my girlfriend seems like
Right.
something that makes sense and is okay, or
Right.
stealing or embezzling money or fraud, any of those things that seem to come naturally to addicts and alcoholics, none of those things seem like a good idea. And I think that's because I've been able to build a life based on purpose.
Yeah.
And for me, that's the goal every day. How do I continue to stay on the right path? And if I'm getting off track, how do I recognize it? You know, it's okay to not be okay. But for
Yeah.
me, it's not okay to not do anything about it.
Yeah, man.
And it's a constant process of polishing
Yeah.
and making sure that I'm getting better. And when I'm not getting better, I don't get any worse than necessary,
Yeah.
so that I can focus on getting better again.
Yeah.
So the main coping mechanisms for me are the same ones that worked for me early on. You know, I pray, and I'm not a very regimented religious person, but I have prayer that works for me. You know, my church is out here
Yeah.
in the woods. My church is with my community. Love is my religion,
Mm-hmm.
and meditating on things like that, getting some exercise, you know, working on making sure that I've got a healthy, you know, physiological balance in my brain with exercise and proper nutrition, and making sure that, you know, I sleep good at night because I made decent choices during the day, and I
Right.
helped someone else out. Or if I do something wrong, when I do things wrong, I promptly admit that, and, you know, making sure that a couple times a week I'm spending an hour or two helping someone else out with no financial motives,
Yeah.
you know, volunteering, trying to be a good family member, trying to help clean up more around my house and when I'm in other people's houses.
Yeah.
Those are the things that have really worked for me, and helping the new guy who has no idea how he's gonna ever be a good dad or a good husband or a good family member or productive member of society again. That's essential for me
Yeah.
to stay on the right path.
Is that one full yet, or is that going still? How much time's left? It's full? Okay. Okay. So where are we at time-wise? So then we were at least 25 minutes, right? Yeah. That's kind of... How much? Yeah. So I think I want to kind of... Let's wrap, because I want to keep these around 30 minutes now.
Yeah, I think that's a good time.
Yeah. So to recap, we kind of like, you know, we took some time off to basically clean house.
Sabbatical.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I do feel better about this. Also, I think like this environment is friggin' amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Where are we?
We're in, well, you tell us where we are.
We're in a beautiful wellness community called Serenbe
Yeah.
that I relocated to, and have dedicated my life to helping this community when I'm not helping people in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I love it. Built around health and wellness and nature and
Yeah.
good food and being connected to your neighbors.
Beautiful place.
I love it.
Yeah.
So it's important for me to let people know that if you're seeing any of this content and you need some help, I would like nothing more than to have
Yeah.
a conversation with
Yeah.
you.
Absolutely. And there's, however you get to us through the mosthighshow.com, mosthighmedia.org, you find us on Facebook, and you say, man, I really like what Mitchell said. Man, I'll hit you, you'll get his number and his contact and FaceTime.
Or if you don't like what I said,
Or if you don't like.
I like to hear that too.
Yeah.
There can be some great conversations about that,
Yeah.
I'm far from perfect. Wait, you're a 501c3
Yes. we are.
registered?
Yeah.
Dang.
Full on legit.
That's one of my dreams.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So yeah, you can donate because it does take time. And so when I'm spending time creating this kind of content, I'm not making money.
People give you money?
People do. We have a handful of donors, and I'm gonna tell you what, man, that really means a lot, dude. When you got a couple people that's, they give me $100 a month, it's like that's a significant investment into what we're doing. So there are people who are giving on a regular basis because they believe that this content that we're creating can be helpful.
That's beautiful.
It is, man. It is.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we're going to be back again, and I'm so happy to be kind of back in the swing of things. And I really like this concept of like being in non-studio environments and rocking a podcast.
Yeah, we got some cool plans for this
Yeah.
season. We're going to be out in nature. We're going to be doing some cool stuff
Yeah.
in and around Georgia. Less in the studio, more out here in my church.
Yeah. Love it. My man Mitch, appreciate you, brother. Thank you. We out.